Alright, today I want to talk about something that I've mentioned briefly every now and then, but I haven't ever fully made a video on, which I really want to because just to share how it impacted me, you know, my loneliness, just everything in general, my life, because I seriously think this traumatized me. Like, I'm not even kidding at all. And the whole irony behind it is that, when I turned 18, my mom got her quote-unquote first boyfriend. And she was telling me, I remember her telling me, she's like, the only reason I'm bringing him around is because I think you're old enough and more mature now. The only reason I didn't bring anyone around when you were younger is because I didn't want it, impacting you. And listen, it doesn't matter. Between this guy and his daughters and all the drama and chaos and bullshit that happened, it wouldn't have mattered what age I was. It seriously wouldn't have. But first off, this guy that she met was the biggest BetaBuxx I've ever... And the dude had, I seriously, I've never seen anyone with so many beta traits, and the whole irony with this guy. So let me describe what he looks like. So he was bald, literally he couldn't grow any hair out of his head. I remember one day he was pointing to the side of his head. He's like, I can only grow hair here. It was so weird. And he would just shave it off. It was on the side of his head. He only grew a small patch of hair. And he said he started losing his hair at 18. But he was mixed. He was half black, half white, and super jacked, guys. He used to be in the military. He had some prestigious job for 10 years before he fell into serious drug addiction. And he met my mom. My mom was at work, and my mom always used to say to me all the time, this guy hit on me today and asked me out, and she would say that all the time, when I was a junior and senior in high school. And she gave this guy a chance. I don't know why. She would always give me the speech, too, about how, we need to find a man to take care of us, and hopefully he has money. I don't care what he looks like. She would always give me that speech all the time. And this guy comes along. And I remember when my mom told me how he asked her out, this guy literally said, excuse, in the most, his voice was trembling. And he said, excuse me, do you date? And my mom was, kind of confused. And she's like, yeah. And eventually, blah, 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 they started talking. And they started dating. But, yeah, this guy, his voice did not match his body and face at all. If you seriously, if you look at him and you never heard his voice, you would think he would sound like Vin Diesel or something, You just would not, his voice was so high-pitched and feminine. And the things he did, too, he would get pedicures with my mom. It seriously, the guy, just his personality did not match his fucking body, because like I said, his arms were huge, and he was always drinking a fucking soda. I've never seen this guy drink water. I genuinely don't think he knew what fucking water was, and he always ate, garbage food, so his stomach was huge, guys. It literally looked like someone fucking taped a yoga ball under his shirt. He was just walking around, but yes, his arms were huge. Everyone was always intimidated by him. He wasn't the tallest, too. He told me once he was 5'9", but I saw his driver's license. It said 5'7", and I always knew he was short. He's not short, but he's not tall. I would still say he's in manlet territory. But yeah, my mom would always say that shit too. I don't care if the next guy I date is short and bald. As long as, he makes me happy. I would hear that all the time, but anyway, yeah, the dude, and he had 2 daughters. I think he had so many siblings and so many fucking kids too. I think he had 5 kids. Some of them were fucked up. I only saw a couple of them, but mainly it was just his 2 daughters that would come around, stick around. And yeah, this guy, he was in and out of rehab and stuff like that for drug addiction. And, he basically got his shit together for now, and would come over to my house every now and then. And because this guy, he didn't have a job, guys. He was on government assistance. And the thing that pissed my mom off the most is that this guy would make way more money than my mom just by being on whatever he was on, just getting paid monthly. And he would always buy me and my mom stuff. This dude was a fucking butler. I would be like, hey, go out and get me, blah, blah, blah. Go out and get me this. Go get me that. He'd be like, yes, okay, sir, okay. Jump in his car, go out and get it for me. And at the time, I was in what is it called? Fucking clown college, the fucking virtual online school. Was it? Oh yeah, Zoom. That Zoom shit for school, for college. And this guy would do whatever. He would stay home, clean the house while my mom was out working, And I think they stayed with us. It was him and his 2 daughters. They stayed with us for about like a month. And it was because like he ended up, something happened where he had to like move out of his house, and the government was giving him like an apartment. And he like, they ended up, long story short, just staying with us for about a month, which was a complete disaster. His daughters, by the way, the most obnoxious, just, oh my God, like they were always smoking cigarettes, always drinking. And the brutal part about it too is that, and to describe the way they looked, they honestly, like, just, I wasn't attracted to them at all. They were both 22 years old, overweight. One of them was like, and the funny thing is that they would always complain about that all the time. They'd always be like, oh, I can't lose weight. I can't lose weight. And meanwhile, the diet that they had, I call it the slop diet, because it's slop shit. We would all, and this is what like led to the downfall of me too. Because I've always been around 150 to 160 pounds. I've always been skinny my whole life. And I went from, I think like 160 maybe to about like 225 in that whole year of like the whole pandemic. Because of this fucking guy, but I mean, what the fuck, I'm not blaming him, because like, obviously I'm the dumbass who put the food in my fucking mouth. But thankfully I lost all the weight. It took fucking forever, guys, Jesus Christ, but, yeah, thank God that, honestly, like the black pill saved me with that shit, because if I was still fucking blue pilled, I probably would have kept eating away, and God knows what, gained more fucking weight. But anyway, yeah, they ate this slop diet, just this fucking garbage shit. They were always smoking. And this is the thing too, guys. They never had a job. One of them had a part-time job and ended up getting like a stimulus check. And I remember they were like dancing around. They're like, oh, the stimmy hit, the stimmy. And I remember just cringing my fucking balls off, just watching them like twerking and dancing over a fucking stimulus check. But you want to know what's extra brutal? We were having, because we used to have these car rides. It would be, my mom would be driving, her boyfriend, would be in the next seat, and then I'd be in the back left seat. Now, these girls, they took up like fucking 2.5 seats, so I would always be like squished, my legs, I would be in so much pain. And I remember this dude, he was like talking about how they need to get a job, and they both started crying. They were both like, no, please, no, just fucking crying over it. And the whole funny, and then he's like, and then the dude like baited up. He's like, okay, girls, okay, you can wait. You don't need a job yet. And they were like, yay. And I was like, holy shit. Like, there was a South Park episode that aired like a few days ago where Cartman gets a job, and basically he goes, I can't work here. My anxiety, it's just, I'm depressed. I can't work here for long. And it's only been like an hour. It's not even a joke. Like, that whole episode, I know this is anecdotal coming from me, but my cousin, I have a girl cousin who's 26 years old, and I remember, like, a phone call between my mom, and we all know this, like, my whole family knows this. She refuses to get a job. She's still in college. She wants to be a psychologist. That's the whole irony. She wants to be a psychologist. She's got all these problems herself. She wants to be, like, a therapist to help people. And she cries every time, they say, get a job. It's time to get a job. She starts crying, has like panic attacks. And her husband, like, honestly, this dude's like the same way. I think what's this dude? And they're both vegan too. I forgot what the fuck was he going to school for. I think he wants to be a lawyer. Now this dude literally, I'm not even kidding. He's the type of fucking guy to throw in some, subhuman for life over just, shoplifting versus pardoning a Stacy. Like, this dude is just, like, and just like the way they talk too, they're both height matched, low tier normies, and just this guy, yeah, he just, oh man. But it also reminds me of another thing I wanted to talk about that also reminded me of that. This dude that I work with, he's this older gentleman. He's funny as fuck. He's always making jokes about his divorce, all that stuff. And he's got 2 daughters, and one of his daughters lives with him. And he was basically saying, he's like, bro, like, man, because he said that he lives in like this tiny apartment. And she, she's always in the living room. She's got all this shit all over the living room. He's like, man, I can't even go into my living room. The only place I can go is the kitchen, bathroom, and my room. That's it. The living room is off limits. And I'm thinking in my head, like, dude, your daughter, who's 22, you're gonna be 23 years old. She's never had a job. She's hogging up your fucking living room to the point where you can't go in it. Like, what the fuck? And I was telling him, I'm like, well, why can't she get a job here? And he's like, no, dude, no. Like, you don't understand. Like, my daughter, like, she's nuts. Like, if you tell her to get a job, if you tell her to do anything, she'll start freaking out, having a panic attack. And he was telling me how she worked at Dunkin' Donuts one day and quit because the manager was being creepy towards her or something. And I was like, how? He's like, dude, I don't know. I went in, the dude, he was a little creepy, but, like, you just push through and, just get through the job. It's a job. And it was just so funny because he's like, he was just some Indian dude, he was a little creepy, but I just started dying laughing, when he said that shit. But, yeah, these girls, man, when that's like the worst part about like that whole relationship is that these girls would be like literally fucking right next to me. I couldn't like walk out the car, and just walk away from their yelling and screaming and crying because they were, oh my God, guys, they were always screaming, always crying, always wanting to fight, all that shit, all the time. And they're always complaining about, oh, we're depressed. And that whole month that they were living with us, so this is what they would do. Like, they would go to the liquor store every now and then, like maybe every 3 days. It was like always the same thing, every 3 days. And sometimes it'd be like, hey, you want to go with us? Like, I would just like walk with them just to like get out of the house, that we would just walk to the liquor store. There's one near my house, and they would buy this fucking not like a standard bottle, but like the handle of Hennessy, cigarettes, and like 2 liters of Coke, like 2 of those, like those big bottles of Coke. And every time around like 5 o'clock, because they, like I said, they didn't have jobs, nothing. Around 5 o'clock, they would just start drinking, what do the kids call that fucking shit? The pre-gaming shit, where they just fucking drink, get a little drunk because the bar drinks are fucking expensive. And they call an Uber because they didn't have a license. And this is the thing too, like who the fuck, like people my age don't have licenses and shit. I feel like that's getting way, more and more uncommon, but yeah, they would call up a fucking Uber and, while like still like intoxicated, they'd come home around like, oh my God, like fucking 2-3 in the morning, wake my ass up. My mom and her boyfriend were sleeping sound asleep like fucking babies. I mean, it must be a fucking boomer thing. Like, if a bomb went off in the fucking backyard, they probably wouldn't even wake up. But they were just fucking loud. They were falling all over the place. I remember one time they broke. So like, there's this thing in my house. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like this glass thing. It goes on top of like this little stand, and like it's easily movable. Like, it's just placed on top of it. And one of them fell on it, and the whole glass fucking shattered and broke. And my mom was like, oh, what the fuck, blah, 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 blah. And keep in mind, one of these girls, one of these twins, she had a boyfriend who, he was 19 and she was 22, and this guy, again, drug addiction, all that stuff. He spent like 2 years in jail for drugs, something like that. And when he came out, he was trying to get his GED. Now, keep in mind, this guy, she had 3 abortions. Or no, 4. She had, one was a miscarriage, which me and my mom don't buy at all. And the other 3 were an abortion. And, it just blows my fucking mind. Like, how does this happen? 3. You have 3. 3 think about this. 3 like, that has to be terrible for your body. Like, there is absolutely no way. Like, how they don't know, like, oh, birth control, just jump on birth control. Like, does this dude not know how to pull out? Like, I don't know if, like, humans are programmed that much to, like, not to, like, I don't know. It's just, it just blows my mind. But the miscarriage, like, me and my mom, we always were like, nah, there's no way. Because it was around COVID, the 4th one, and they couldn't get to a clinic. And then, like, it was, like, late, like, a month or 2 went by. And they're like, oh, I miscarriaged. And they were like celebrating over it. And me and my mom were just disgusted, because my mom, she's religious. She just like almost like snapped. Like, and like we both were like fucking disgusted. Like, can you imagine that being your parents? That's what I'm saying. It's like who your parents choose, who your parents are, dictate your whole fucking life, But anyway, the dude that she was dating, this 19-year-old dude who was addicted to drugs, trying to get his GED, get his life together. He was Syrian. He was from Syria. I've seen this guy a couple times, hung out with him. He had these hazily green eyes, hollowed cheeks. Honestly, not bad looking. But he ended up dying from an overdose. And the sad part about that shit is that she didn't even cry, didn't bat an eye, nothing. Literally just nothing. Went up, found a new boyfriend. Like, can you imagine that shit? That reminds me of, like, if you're, like, at war, if you're, like, in the military, your girlfriend's cheating on you, and then you, like, end up, like, dying in combat. Like, that's some sad shit. But yeah, like, that's literally, she just moved on. The other twin honestly wasn't too bad with guys. Like, she would, like, tell me stories about it and shit. Like, I would be near, and, like, she would be, like, talking about it, like, of, like, guys she would be with, but she wasn't as promiscuous as her other twin. And she had, like, brown spots on her teeth, like, the promiscuous one. She had, like, these brown spots on her teeth that, like, she couldn't afford to get it taken care of. But yeah, they were always smoking and it was every fucking night. They would drink that fucking Hennessy, and the most, like, just imagine that shit. You know, I'm sitting in my Zoom class, and they this is the funny thing, they were always hungover in the fucking morning. Every morning, they would always be crying, and they had, like, such a weird cry. They were like, ooh, ooh. Like, just imagine that. They're rolling over. There's this one day, they were rolling over my living room. You know, I was in my dining room, all this shit. My house is fucking small. They were rolling all over the floor, going, ooh, over their hangover. And, like, I get it. You know, I've had a fucking hangover before. It blows. It really does. But, you know, I'm just picture me just sitting in my fucking classroom with just the most expressionless, just depressed fucking face, you know, just watching my teacher, hear it and me in the background, just hearing that shit unfold every day. They all got it. Like, it was seriously every day. They were always crying about their hangover, and then guess what? They would go out, get their fucking shitty food, their McDonald's, then they'd hit the club again next night, over and over and over again, all the time. But I even remember this one thing that legitimately traumatized me. Like, I still, like, think about it. Like, it's just fucking bad. This was before, like, his daughters would see us that much. It was just this guy and my mom one day, and I had, like, a video on this, like, maybe, like, last year. But anyway, I was sitting on the couch playing video games, you know, and I was hearing noises. I was like, in my head, I was like, someone watching porn? What the fuck is that? I pull my headset off, and you already know where this is going. Like, I seriously can't even fucking talk about it. The whole house was shaking. You're hearing these noises, and they were loud too. It's not even like they try to keep quiet. And like, first off, it was so much for my brain to process. I'm like, is this really fucking happening? You know, you're hearing your mom and this fucking guy and the house shaking, and, like, I almost just lost my fucking mind right there. Like, I literally, like, I couldn't, like, and some people, like, they'll be like, bro, you're a pussy, bro, like, you know, you overreacted, bro, and all that stuff. But how would you like it? There's some random fucking stranger in your house fucking your mom while you're home, and you hear both of them, and they're both extremely loud. Like, your brain can't even just, and I seriously, I just got up, walked out, and I almost snapped. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, my brain couldn't process or handle all that shit. And it was like 2 a.m, so I'm just walking around my neighborhood, you know, walking around my block, all this shit. And all of a sudden, my mom starts blowing up my phone. Get home now. Just, like, all angry and shit. Call me. So I come back home. I didn't even want to go home. I seriously, like, should have just slept out in the grass outside. I'm not even kidding. But I go home. She's sitting on the couch. She's all angry. She's like, why'd you leave it so, you could have got hurt, blah, 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 blah. Why are you so angry? Because I was angry. I came home. I was fucking pissed. And she's like, this is my house. I can have sex with whoever I want in my house. And blah, 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 blah. Like, she was angry at me, you know, and because she was angry that I was angry. And she's like, this is my house. I can have sex with whoever. I can do whatever I want. And she was saying, like, oh, I bet if you had a girl here, you'd be doing the same. And I told her, I'm like, it's fucking over. Like, I like, and guess what? I was right. 22 years old, still a fucking virgin, still fucking alone. And, yeah, she just fucking got so angry at me for leaving the house and throwing a fit like a fucking child, because who the fuck wants to sit there through that shit? What the fuck am I supposed to do? So anytime that ever happened, because it would happen, that wasn't the first time it happened. The next times it happened, and I wish I had fucking alcohol. I wish I drank during that age, because these girls would leave that fucking Hennessy in my house, you know. So I should have just fucking downed that shit when they were doing that, just like block out all the fucking shit, But I would go into the basement, I'd put on headphones, double headphones, play the songs at the same time to like the point where my ears were, and you could still feel the house vibrating, by the way, so it didn't really fucking help. But yeah, she was pissed at me, all that shit, and my brain I just fucking couldn't handle it. I was like, holy fuck, like, is this really happening, But yeah, what a fucking terrible time, and there's his daughters honestly made it like 10 times worse, between the constant crying, the constant everything. God, I even remember like we had like a conversation late at night once where basically, and they were like drunk, as always, and they're telling me like, oh, we lost our virginities at the same age at 20. Trust me, being 18 years old and a virgin isn't too bad. And so I was just like talking, and they just were like, oh, don't worry, like, it's not too late for you. And now I'm 22, same life. Even actually, you know what? Even worse life now. Everything has been going downhill. So, oh well. But yeah, honestly, if you are a in a single mother household and your mom's bringing guys home at whatever age, I feel bad for you. Seriously, good luck to you, because it's rough. Especially if he has annoying ass fucking daughters that are always smoking, always drinking, always. Man, I think too, like, I still can't get over, like, it genuinely gives me like PTSD, like hearing them like cry in the morning, because it was so loud and just weird. I guess that like triggers something in your brain when you hear people cry like that. I don't know, but it would just like up my stress levels like to the max, hearing them both crying and shit every morning over their hangover. Then they'd get up and do it again, like just go to the club drinking while I'm rotting in my room waiting. Yay, can't wait to go to school, virtual school tomorrow, getting woken up at 3 a.m. Oh man, but the downfall of this guy too, which it's pretty unfortunate for him. He ended up going to college. He went to my exact college. We didn't have any classes together. Can you fucking imagine that shit too? Your mom's fucking boyfriend, her 60-year-old fucking boyfriend, is going to college with you. But anyway, yeah, this guy, he was going to college, and like oh my god, he fucking needed so much help. I was practically writing his fucking papers for him. Like, I think I'm dumb. This guy, oh my god, like he couldn't write. His reading and writing skills were terrible. He wanted to be like a rehab specialist or some shit. And the whole irony in it too is what I want to talk about. So he ended up trying to cheat on my mom with a 30-year-old Latina girl. And my mom found out somehow. I think she was like checking his phone, because they were like class buddies. And this is the funny shit, because my mom he was in the shower. He was showing me these texts, and this guy was flopping so fucking bad. Basically, they were just like class buddies. Like, they wanted answers from each other, and he kept trying to like hit on her through texting, and she would like always turn down his fucking advances. And he was trying to do this with like all the young girls. And my mom, she ended up like freaking out, and that was pretty much it. He was pretty much done for. And then we found out, a couple months later, this dude ended up getting back into drugs. He ended up popping pills again. He would like call my mom all the time. Oh, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh my god. Oh. And one day he ended up trying to, he wanted to end it, and he took a bunch of pills, a shitload of whatever he used to, I forgot what pill he used to be addicted to, but he was doing it. And he ended up going on like a rampage. He ended up like beating the complete shit out of somebody, breaking into a store, stealing stuff. And apparently he didn't remember it. Like, my mom was talking to one of his brothers, and this guy was like, he didn't remember doing any of it, and now he's in jail. For I think 7 years. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. 7 years for apparently like almost like killing somebody. Like, the dude literally like just beat the shit out of like this old guy to the point where like he went into like a coma or something. And now he's in jail. And that was definitely an interesting chapter in my life. 100%. I mean, yeah, but and I even remember like when my mom was yelling at me, this guy coming down the stairs, like after they, did what, upstairs, bed shaking, I just seriously can't talk about it. But he came down the stairs without his shirt on, I see his yoga ball belly, and he goes, sorry, buddy, sorry, buddy. And that will always be in my head forever. Me just looking right up at the stairs. Oh, sorry, buddy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's over.